First of all, I just want to thank you all and welcome at Adobe Systems. And we are very excited to have all of you here. Very excited to actually have this event, the Global Women's Journey, which we started last year with Margarese from Bay, Brazil. So I just want to say a few words before we start. I just want to thank you again, all of you, for coming. And I'm really excited with the Global Women's Journey that I partner with Margarese. Margarese is from Bay, Brazil. She founded Bay, Brazil, and her idea is to actually bring a little bit of Brazil to the U.S., to the Bay Area. So she's connecting, especially businesses from the Bay Area and Brazil, and helping a lot of people along the way. And I'm really glad to be part of this organization, was the Women in Business. And she actually partnered with other two wonderful organizations, but I will let her to introduce them and introduce our great panelists that we have for tonight. Thank you all for being here. And please, this is a very lively discussion, so I would really welcome everyone to ask questions and participate, because that's what you're going to get from it. Not just to listen and go home and just, what does that person talk about? I don't agree with her. So, please raise your hand and ask your questions and make sure we have a very good discussion so you can go home with something that you learn, okay? So thank you, and I hope you all have a great night. Thank you, Margarese. It's all you. Oh, just one thing. We're going to pass a little bag. I have 2 tickets that I'm going to give away at the end for the people who stay for Saturday Warriors versus Dallas Mavericks. So for you, your husband stay home and they're complaining, watching the kids. See, I think of everything. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you think. And this is Luciana Vec, our host here at Adobe. Thank you so much for embarking in this journey with us. It's been great to see you and see some familiar faces from last year. We did 2 events last year, and we launched the series because we wanted to discuss women's path to leadership. I launched the Bay Brazil a couple of years ago, and I said, gee, I need help. I want to learn from other women. And that's why we launched this series last year. We had 2 events, and we are collaborating in this series with 2 wonderful partners of us. And I would like to introduce you Francine Gordon from SVF. Please come up here with me. And Linda Cleary from the German American Business Association. So they all been putting a lot of work to make this event to happen. And I want to, first of all, ask you to clap for the brave men that are here tonight. I was dreaming about doing this event in a day like this. This is the perfect day because you are here. Thank you so much. Thank you to our moderator and to our panelists. Would like to say a few things about Bay Brazil. So at Bay Brazil, we are a bridge between Silicon Valley and Brazil. We help small businesses find partners in Brazil, and we make connections among the Brazilian American community. So we are about everyone who loves and is interested about Brazil. And I encourage you to go to our website. Membership is free. And we are launching on March 21st a new series that is called the Brazilian Founders Evening. We are going to be featuring 3 to 4 Brazilian founders who live here in the Bay Area and found their companies either in Brazil or here in the Silicon Valley. And that event will be held at the Brazilian Consulate in San Francisco. So I would like now let my partners to introduce themselves, and thank you so much for your work in this event.
Thank you.
Francine.
Hello, I'm Francine Gordon. I'm head of SV Forum Tech Women. We are part of SV Forum, which is the oldest nonprofit aimed at the technology community. And it's unusual, but tonight we have Chris Gill, who's the head of SV Forum officially, the CEO, one of our men. We have programs every month that support the advancement of women in technology, either through professional development or panels on new technologies and sometimes on entrepreneurs. We also have a subsidiary program, Tech Girls. We currently have, Jenny, how many teams? 4 teams of all girls and boys mixed, middle school and high school, that participate in the Tech Challenge. So that's my volunteer work. Our next meeting will be March 29th. We usually meet the 4th Thursday of the month, but because of this event, we're pushing it out to the 5th. On March 29th, we'll be at PayPal, and the event is going to be on confidence, acknowledge the fear and do it anyway, which I'm going to be co-facilitating with Kathy Klotz-Guest, which gets me to what I do in my real life, which is I'm actually a consultant who focuses on advancement of women and also helps companies become more innovative. And I also do a crossover. I'm looking at gender and innovation, women and innovation. So that's what I do in my real life. And with that, I will turn it over to Linda.
So my name is Linda Cleary. I'm with the German American Business Association now for, almost a decade. We are very similar to Babe Brazil and a lot of the other cultural networks. We are interested in facilitating cross-border exchange, business, and in particular, some very specific industry sectors, software, innovations in HR, and what I do in particular is the Women Business Group. So we go across all industries, and we're very excited to be here tonight to co-present with this very global event, and also welcome you to please visit our website and see what's next and new and upcoming. We have a health expo coming up in May, so that should be very exciting. So we'll be welcoming some new stars to talk there. But in any case, welcome tonight, and please don't hesitate to ask questions and raise your hand. And we have people from all over the world. I know Dahlia came straight from Berlin, right, earlier, and Cornelia as well, very, very close. So we have folks from all over the world here tonight, so welcome.
I would like to invite our panel, starting with our moderator, Debbie Peterson. Please, Deb, take a seat. Deb is senior editor at the San Jose Mercury News. I'll say a few words about her very soon, but before that, I would like to invite Bridget Sexton. Bridget is the Global Entrepreneurship Manager at Google. And then we have Katie Dickinson. Please, Katie, take a seat. Katie is the director at Huawei Technologies and mentoring process architect for Tech Women 2011 mentoring program. And then we have Linda Alepin, director of a Global Women's Leadership Network. Trying to test all the mics. It's on. Okay, meanwhile, I would like to just introduce you, Deb, and then each panelist will say a few words about what they do and why they are here. So Deb is a columnist and senior editor for mobile and social media at the Bay Area News Group, which includes the San Jose Mercury News. I am sorry. Rebecca, please. Yes. We have Rebecca Fanning. Oh, my God. Which is a journalist.
I'm taking the empty seat here.
I apologize.
Okay.
Rebecca is journalist and author of Startup Asia and Silicon Dragon, and she's also a contributor for Forbes magazine, and she's not forgotten. I'm very happy to have you here in the panel.
Thank you.
So coming back to Deb, she's a columnist and senior editor at the San Jose Mercury News. a long-time writer and editor. Her award-winning work has appeared in the San Jose Mercury News, River Teeth, Northeast Magazine, and the Hartford Courant, where she was a staff writer for many years. Her Facebook page is used by Facebook as a model for journalists throughout the world. She conducts social media training for journalists, and her column, What I Do, often focuses on social media and women issues. I'm very happy to have Deb here. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you all the panelistas. Obrigada. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so honored to be here among this wonderful, awesome group of women leaders. I had no idea when Marguerite had asked me that in between the time she asked me to do this, that Rush Limbaugh was going to inspire me even more. So, Rush, this is for you. I would like to just start off by asking each of our panelists to talk a little bit about their journey of how they started what they do and how they started working with women from around the globe. And maybe you could tell us also one thing that you think inspired you to work with women and women of various cultures and various countries. So why don't we start here?
All right. Hi, I'm Bridget Sexton. I'm Global Entrepreneurship Manager at Google. I actually just started this job 2 years ago, but I think I've taken a long path or 2 months ago, taken a long path to get there. I've been at Google about 4 years. I spent 2 of those years in Ghana managing an experimental project called Outreach, which was Google's attempt at matching our products with actual people. So going out and doing hands-on training with people, teaching businesses how to get themselves online, teaching developers about tools, about the web, about mobile. So that was an incredible experience. I lived abroad a number of times before then, and I would say one of my key inspirations for working with women, Google does a lot of work with women, especially entrepreneurs now. My colleague is actually at a women's event in San Francisco around entrepreneurship, so it's pretty funny. But we work with women in India, where our goal is to get 10,000 businesses online in India that are women built. We also work we worked a lot with African entrepreneurs because a majority of them are actually women. And we have a number of initiatives, happy to discuss with anyone. But I guess the inspiration point for me was I lived in Nicaragua when I was quite young. And I had this idea I was going to go there and convince the world I was a good person. I was 18 and I worked in the dirt in impoverished countries. And I actually didn't work in the dirt. I worked for the former president doing scouting of investment, which was actually about like working in the dirt because there's not a lot of potential investments at that time. But what I found is that the economy there was incredibly driven by women. The face of the economy was men. The face of the political system, of the media, was all male-dominated. But what I saw every morning when I walked to work was women who woke up at 5 a.m. and did whatever it took to take care of their family. That could be cutting mangoes and putting spices on them and salt. That could be digging ditches. And a lot of the men in the society were too proud to do these jobs because they didn't feel like they were traditional enough for them. And that really began a process of working with microfinance, really being inspired by a lot of women throughout the emerging markets.
Thank you. Katie.
I'm Katie Dickinson. I'm a director at Huawei, which is the second largest telecom company in the world. It's based in China, in Shenzhen, outside of Hong Kong. Prior to Huawei, I worked at Sun Microsystems for 26 years, and I ran the mentoring program for the chief technologist. I'm probably the only Shakespeare scholar to report to a chief technologist of a Fortune 500 company, which was always a little awkward, but nonetheless, I'm sort of the poster child for non-traditional backgrounds. And I came to the mentoring program at Sun. I created it and ran it for 10 years. And if you want to know about it, Oracle is still distributing my technical report. You can go to Google and type in Sun Mentoring, 1996 to 2009. And you'll get 104 pages of metrics and process diagrams and advice and quotes from executives about how do you get 1,000% ROI from a mentoring program. I'm a Six Sigma Master Black Belt, so statistics matter. They matter to me in my job. And the whole program is based on what matters, what pays back. And when I was running the mentoring program, I wasn't asked to run a mentoring program for women. I was asked to run a mentoring program for engineering. But it was very clear that the women got more out of it. That all of those skills that women have in communication, in social environment sensitivity, made them better and at getting more from a mentoring program. So in an environment where all too often women, you're the only woman in the room, you're the only senior woman in the room, you go to another meeting and you're still the only woman in the room, and yet here's something that everyone says the company should do, and it benefits women disproportionately. I like that a lot. You know, it was an opportunity to make it available to everyone and still benefit a group that could use some benefit. So when I published the technical report in 2009, that was about the time that President Barack Obama was making his speech in Cairo about bringing the American culture together with the Muslim culture. Well, my version of the story is that he went back from Cairo and he went to Hillary Clinton and he said, make it so, right? Because he's the big guy, he can say that. Hillary Clinton went to the IIE, which is the group that runs the Fulbright scholarships, and she said, make it so, or she went to the State Department. They went to the IIE. The IIE went to the ABI, which is the Anita Borg Institute. The Anita Borg Institute runs the Grace Hopper Celebration for Women in Technology. I've been on the advisory board of the Anita Borg Institute for 7 years. And when they were putting together their bid for the Tech Women program that Hillary Clinton had created to meet this need that Barack Obama had come back from Cairo with, they said, why don't you work with us? So for a year and a half, I worked for 2 jobs. I worked for Huawei, and I worked for Tech Women. And the two worked very well together. The company fell in love with the program. The program benefited from the relationship with all of the Silicon Valley companies that hosted our 37 women last year. And I will be delighted to tell you more as we go forward.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Linda Allepin. I'm the founding director of the Global Women's Leadership Network. We're part of Santa Clara University, just a little ways down the road. I want to first of all thank the sponsors for having me here, and for all of you for taking the time this evening, you know, out of, I'm sure, all of the rush that's at home to be here and to listen to us and hopefully take home some wisdom. My pathway to this seat was through technology. So I grew up with technology. From many years ago, I started working for IBM in the punched card days. I know you don't know what that is.
I do.
You do. Oh yeah, there's at least one person here that knows what that is.
I've punched cards.
Well, I actually plug board wires, so you know it goes back a long way. And after IBM, I went to work for what was then a fledgling startup called Amdahl Corporation, where I stayed for 18 years. And we, of course, were the ones competing against IBM in the mainframe industry. There, I did a turnaround, a $2 billion turnaround, and I got tired of big companies. So I went and did 2 startups. So I also had an early internet technology company. You will know if you are too early in a segment if you cannot do a live demo. Okay, this is a hint. And it wasn't quite stable enough, at least the operating systems weren't to do a demo. Since then, I've become a professor at Santa Clara University and founded the Global Women's Leadership Network. When you ask why, I think there really are 2 reasons. Okay, first of all, and someone in the audience came up to me today and reminded me of the Amdahl days and how many women I had that were my mentees there. And I've really always believed that women leadership really is what's required to take us to a new future for corporations, for academia, for not-for-profits, for government, etc. And we all know that there aren't enough women in those positions. So I've always been a mentor for people, and then founded Global Women's Leadership Network. The second reason is just, quite frankly, we in this room are among the most well-educated, healthiest, and wealthiest people in the world, right? We really are very privileged. And there are many women and children in the world that are not. And so to me, what it's about is having women step into their leadership in many parts of the world and reverse the maternal mortality rates, reverse the rates of hunger in the world, and bring us all to something that's a lot better world for everybody around. So that's why Women and Global. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was inspiring. All of them were inspiring. So maybe I could say that was my inspiration. But no, my pathway here was New York City. I was at Advertising Age as an international editor, and it was the middle of the dot-com boom, and I got a call from Red Herring magazine, which was like the TechCrunch of its day, right? How many people here remember Red Herring? Okay, well, we had these issues that were about 600 pages, so I got this call. I was sitting in New York and thinking, should I really take a risk and join this magazine, this kind of startup-y magazine in Silicon Valley? And I thought, well, it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I took the plunge. And that's kind of been the history of my career, is taking the plunge and always going forward and being kind of a risk taker and a pioneer. But anyhow, at Red Herring magazine, I was there for about 2 years before the dot-com bubble burst. And then I found myself in Hong Kong writing about China as China was opening up, and it was really, really incredibly exciting. And I was following the Sandhill Road money, the venture capital money that was beginning to invest into China and beginning to invest into Chinese startups that were just like the startups that had happened here in Silicon Valley. So I got to interview a woman named Peggy Yuyu, who runs Dang Dang. And that's like the Amazon of China. But I interviewed her way before she became kind of well-known, or the company became well-known, and they listed on New York Stock Exchange last year. And I would have to say that people like that, women like that, were a real inspiration to me, because here they were, these trailblazers in China as women, starting up companies and taking their companies public on the New York Stock Exchange. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, because before Peggy took Dang Dang public on New York Stock Exchange, I was on the trail following many, many startups in China, on the reporting trail. I've always been a journalist, by the way. And I was in China, beginning to follow the story into India and other markets in Asia, and realizing that there were so many parallels, that what was happening in China was also happening in other markets in Asia. So I began going to those markets regularly, interviewing entrepreneurs there. I'm a real grassroots person. I don't like being behind a desk at all. I like being out there in the market. So I do all my own reporting and research. I always travel by myself. I've been to China maybe 45 times over the last 8 years, India 5 times, etc. But what's been interesting to me is hearing the stories of the entrepreneurs that I interviewed. They really inspired me. Their stories are just incredible. The things that they've overcome and the challenges they've had. It's been enlightening for me, and it's helped me to become now what I would call kind of a hybrid journalist entrepreneur. That I write, I continue writing, and I've had 2 books now, but I'm also an entrepreneur with my own business. And I have to say that the people that I interviewed, including several women, all been a huge inspiration to me. And I continue to see the role of women evolving in China and India. I think it's very encouraging. Even between book 1 and book 2, I've seen a big change. But I can get into that a little bit more as we go along.